All right, welcome back to another video. In this one, what we're gonna go through is how to handle any objection and get the sale every single time. This works 100% of the time. It's kind of, well, maybe not 100% because, sometimes you may get thrown with an absolute curveball, like 1% of the time, somebody may just throw a complete curveball objection, but 99% of the time, the objections that you get on your sales calls is gonna fall into this framework that I'm gonna go through in this training, and you're ultimately gonna get the sale every single time if you just follow this. I'm also gonna go through a word for word script at the end as well, which you can literally just copy word for word and say it, and you're gonna get the sale every single time. Whether you're an agency owner, you're a coach, you're a consultant, you're selling 2,500 a month packages, or you're selling 20 grand packages, right? It doesn't matter. This is going to work every single time. So with that being said, let's jump into it. So as I say, how to handle any objection and ultimately get the sale. So one thing that's important to note is that there's only 3 kinds of objections. That's it. Every objection you get is going to fall into one of these 3 buckets. There's only 3, right? And this I got from Jordan Belfort. I got from the book, The Way of the Wolf. My favorite book ever. Honestly, I always talk about it because it's just my favorite book ever. I think it's the best guy in sales right now, without a doubt. And this is what he says, and it's so true, right? It's so true. There's only 3 objections. Number 1, you've got uncertainty. Number 2, you've got financial. And number 3, you've got partner or spouse, okay? They're the only 3 objections you can ever get. It's either uncertainty, it's financial, or it's partner and spouse. I'm trying to think. I don't think there's even any curveballs that you could get that wouldn't fall into one of these 3. I honestly don't, right? At least we've never been hit with it, right? And this stuff right here, I'm going to get into the word for word scripts down here in a minute. But this is what I train my team on. Like I drill my sales team on this because any objection they ever get will fall into one of these 3 things, and they can say this down here, which is just word for word scripts, and they get the sale every single time. Right? It's so powerful. So let's break down each type of objection. So number 1 is, as I say, uncertainty. So this basically means that they're uncertain on the method and the outcome, or timing, or both, right? So for example, if you sell agency services and, you sell to real estate agents, and, one of the things that your actual offer is like lead gen, for example, right? And if the client doesn't have, they've currently got too many leads and they've not got a way to handle those leads, well, at that point, it's not going to, in their mind, it's not going to be good timing, right? It's not a good time to move forward right now because I've got X, Y, Z, right? So timing is a big one. Or as I say, it's just the actual method and the outcome that you're promising, they're just uncertain on. They just don't think that either, number 1, your method is the best way to get to the outcome, or they just don't believe that, you can actually deliver the outcome that you're saying, right? They just think you're false, you're fake, right? So uncertainty on the method and the outcome, or timing, or both, okay? So for example, I need to think about it, these are like the objections that you'll actually get on the call that will mean that they're uncertain on the method and outcome or timing, right? So, a typical, I need to think about it objection, that's uncertain, right? Typically, this is uncertain on the method or the outcome. I got to do my due diligence, right? This means that, again, they're very, very uncertain on typically the method and the outcome, because like, why on earth else would somebody need to go and look at somebody else or, do like market research or anything of that nature if they 100% know without a doubt that what you have, what you're offering is the exact thing that they need? Why on earth would you need to go and do all the research and look at other competitors and look at other coaches in the space who offer the same thing, or the agencies? Like, why would you need to do that if you were 100% certain that what you're saying, if they were 100% certain that what you were saying is exactly what they need? You just don't need to do that, right? They need to sleep on it, all the typical stuff, right? There's no guarantee. That's another one. Somebody says that there's no guarantee. They're just uncertain. That's it, right? Because again, if you were 100% certain, without a doubt, that this is exactly what it is that you need, why would you need a guarantee? You just don't, right? Every single thing that I ever buy, I never ask if there's a guarantee. And the other thing, I never buy something just because there's a guarantee, ever. I've never bought anything just because there's a guarantee. I just don't. Because I know the only things that I buy is those things where I'm 100% bought into the method, I'm 100% bought into the fact that the outcome that the person's promising me is, they can actually do, and I know it's good timing, right? So that's the first one, uncertainty. And as I say, these are typical examples of uncertainty-based objections. Next, you've got financial. So you've got 2 here, which is logistics, right? So this means that they're bought in 100%. They think, yes, this is amazing. We've actually, a perfect example of this, we've got a prospect right now for Scale Clients IO who's in this exact position. I was speaking to my, the sales rep who took the call. yesterday, and he literally said to me like, dude, he's 110% bought in. And the way in which we got him bought in, by the way, is by using this script that we're going to go through later on down here. But yeah, he was like, dude, he's 100% bought in, but there's just logistics behind his financials. Like he physically can't drop the amount he needs to drop to join. So then we're going to look at maybe a payment plan, and we're just trying to work some logistics out, right? So as I say, that this basically means that they're bought in, but they just need to alter the pay structure to make it work logistically for them in their financial decision. So, you could have something that's 15 grand, for example, right? But if somebody's only got 7 grand in their account, it doesn't matter how bought in they are. It doesn't matter how much they think that this is exactly what they need. They physically can't move forward. They've only got 7 grand in their account, and you're charging 15K. And so what that is conditions, right? So that's conditionally they can't move forward, right? As I say, they physically can't move forward due to lack of funds / access to funds. So this is more of like a continuum, honestly, because it's not really like, is it conditional or is it logistical, right? It's more of a continuum. It's like, because like, as I say, right, if you have an offer that's 15K, but the prospect's only got 7K, cash on hand, well, like they could still move forward because you could just split that 15K into 4 payments, and that would go down to whatever, say 3 payments, easy numbers, I can't do math, right? 3 payments of 15K, 3 payments, which would be 5K, and they've got 7K cash on hand, so then they'll be able to get in. And as long as you were able to deliver the result before the next installment comes around, then they should be able to then pay for the next installment, right? So it's more, but like, a typical example of this is if you get on the phone with a prospect and they've got like $1,000 in their account, and you've got a 15K product. Like that's just where it's conditionally they physically can't move forward, right? But you ideally want to try and get that. You want to identify this before the close, right? You don't want them to hit you with an objection of, I've only got $1,000 at the end of the call. You should have already discovered that earlier on in the sales call, right? Or ideally even before the sales call, so you cancel the call, and because you're never going to close this person, okay? But that's financial. You got 2 types: logistical. They just need to figure out, some payment plans. You need to do like a bit of a structure with them to get them in, because they logistically can move forward, but they just can't do like a typical pay in full, for example, right? Or maybe, another logistical example would be like a lot of people who we speak to, like a lot of prospects, they're very big into crypto and whatnot. So a lot of their money is in crypto. So they can move forward. They do have, the amount to pay in full, but, it's all in crypto. So they need to go ahead and, like sell it or whatever, like take it out for them to then go ahead and pay us. That's logistical, okay? So that's 2 financial objections, logistical and conditional, okay? This is a good side note as well. It's too expensive is not a financial objection. If somebody hits you with it's too expensive, that's not a financial objection, right? That's not a financial objection. It's too expensive is an uncertainty-based objection, because nothing is too expensive if you 100% believe that the method and the outcome is going to be realized. So if you're promising somebody, we'll add an extra 50K a month to your bottom line, provided you charge within reason, you're not charging $1 million for that offer. Like even if you're charging 50K for that offer, that's not too expensive, because month 2, the prospect's going to be up 50K in profit, right? If you can actually deliver on that promise. So nothing's ever too expensive, provided obviously the number is within reason. And so if somebody hits you with this, they are uncertain on the method and the outcome. Because again, if you knew with 100% certainty, like you're guaranteed, right? If you pay me 50K today, and I will generate, and you're 100% certain that like each month I'm going to be able to deliver 50K back to you, why on earth would you not pay that 50K? Unless it's either conditional or it's logistical, right? That's where this comes into play. But as I say, it's too expensive is not a financial objection. It's uncertainty-based objection, right? And then the final one we've got is partner and spouse. So there's 2 kind of types here as well. It's number 1, letting the other half know that they are moving forward. Okay, you need to identify whether they're going to let the other half know that they are moving forward, or they're asking the other half whether they can move forward. Both of those instances you would handle very, very differently, but we'll get into that later on, right? So now I want to get into like more word for word scripts and more like say this, do that, right? So typically this is when objections arise, right? Objections rise right after the price drop. You typically don't get objections before the price drop. Again, you do in some instances, but like majority of the time you'll say, and our offer is 10K, right? You definitely want price drop in that way using that language, but you drop the price and then you'll get hit with the objection. Oh, that's too expensive. Or, okay, got you. So I just need to go ahead and think about it. Or, okay, well, I never make decisions on the call. I need to go ahead and I need to go ahead and sleep on it or something, right? Typical stuff, right? You always get that after the after the price drop. So the rep, price drops, prospect, objection. And then what you need to do is you need to isolate the prospect, you need to get the prospect to buy in, so confirm, and then you can handle the real objection. Okay, so you price drop, prospect gives you an objection, you then want to isolate, you want to get the prospect to buy in and confirm, and then this is going to give you the real objection that they're actually saying, because these, again, as we said before, these are just smokescreen, right? And again, on smokescreens, objections, just read Jordan Belfort's The Way of the Wolf, best book on sales. Period. Okay. But these are just smoke screens. They don't actually need to go ahead and think about it. They just don't think that what you're saying is true. Right. So don't ever take the objection for face value, because it's not true. They don't, nobody's ever sat on a sales call with someone and then said, I need to think about it. And then they get off the sales call, they go and sit in their bedroom, sit on their bed and actually sit there and okay, and start thinking about it. No one's ever done that, because you just don't do that. Right. On the sales call if you're going to move forward or not. Right. So obviously, factoring in ticket, right? If it's like a 500K thing or a 100K thing, then maybe you will have to, just mull over it for a little minute. You're not gonna be able to make a decision on a 45-minute call. But if you're selling anything sub 20K, I mean, nobody needs to think about it, okay? Nobody needs to sleep on it, right? So let's look at this. As I say, the first objection will 99% of the time come right after the price drop. Typically, the first objection is a smokescreen, meaning the objection itself isn't the real thing that's holding them back. It's a smokescreen for something else, okay? So the key to handling objections and getting the sale lies in you being able to detect the smokescreen. First things first, you're gonna be able to detect the smokescreen and then dig deeper and figure out what the real issue is and fix that real issue. Because if you're fixating your time on trying to handle the I need to think about it objection, well, guess what? You may handle that, and this is what most people do. You may handle that, but that's just a smokescreen. That's not the real thing. So the real thing is still there. Even if you handle this, that's fine. But guess what? The real problem's still there. So now what the prospect's gonna do, they're just gonna jump to the next smokescreen, because the real problem hasn't been solved. So they'll just jump to the next smokescreen. Okay, gotcha. Well, yeah, maybe I don't need to think about it, but honestly, I don't really make decisions on the call. So let me just sleep on it, right? The real thing's still there. The real problem's still there. So they've just jumped to the next one. You then solve that, then they'll just jump to the next one. And you'll never get the real thing. So you need to make sure that you're able to identify the real objection, so that when you fix that, there's no other problems left and they'll move forward, right? So let's have a look at some language patterns here. So isolating the real objection. So again, rep will price drop, okay? And the investment to get you to whatever is this, right? And obviously with this as well, always try and pre-frame the price. So if you've got a 10K price offer, a 10K offer price, always before you drop 10K, say 50K, 100K, a million even, right? If it's like a yearly thing, right? Say that before the price, because it just makes the price seem more insignificant, right? If you say 100 grand, you have that anchored in your mind. This is called price anchoring. If you have that anchored in your mind, and then you say, and the price to get you to 100 grand is 10 grand, 10 grand seems so much more insignificant now that they've got the price of 100 grand anchored in their mind. Conversely, if you anchor the number $1,000 in someone's mind, and then you say it's $10,000, 10,000 seems so much bigger because the number that's anchored in their mind is 1,000, right? Just as a side note. So price drop, and then the prospect will give you an objection. Now, what's important to note here is it does not matter. Doesn't matter what objection your prospect gives you. Doesn't matter. They could say anything. And every single time, your answer will always be the same. Again, this is what I drill my sales team on, right? Because it just doesn't matter what the objection is that they give you, because it's all the same. Again, read The Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort. I should have an affiliate link for that book, honestly. But one of the things he says in there is every sale is the same. And it is. Every sale is the same, okay? So it doesn't matter what objection they give you, your answer is going to be the same every single time, okay? So your answer is going to be something along the lines of, I completely understand now. Can I ask you an honest question? Let's say, money was no object. Do you feel as though Scale Clients IO, which is the offer, by the way, right, is exactly what you need to hit 100K a month in the next 6 months or less, right? And then this is just basically here, is exactly what you need to, and then here, you'll just insert the prospect's desired outcome, whatever it is for you, right? So you just basically take this framework and plug in your offer, your desired outcome, etc., right? Now from here, the prospect will give you one of two answers, okay? They'll give you one of two answers. Number one is, yeah, 100%, it's just X, okay? That X is the real objection. Because now what you've done is you've got buy-in on the actual method and the outcome. So again, what you've identified is that, without a doubt, they're 100% bought into the fact that what you have, your method, your approach, your system, if you like, that you're selling is 100% the thing that they need to get to outcome, right? Their desired outcome. You've got buy-in on that now. So now you can handle the real objection, which is this one here, right? They'll go, yeah, 100%, this is exactly what I need. It's just money's tight right now. It's just I'm going on holiday this week and I just don't think it's the right time, or whatever it is, right? Like, you're gonna get the real thing that's actually holding them back. And now that you've got the real thing, you can handle the real issue, right? It's not a smokescreen, okay? So that's the first answer that you'll get. Or the second answer you get is, yeah, I mean, I guess. So when you're like, let's say money was no object. Do you feel as though Scale Clients IO is exactly what you need to hit 100K a month in the next 6 months? Yeah, I mean, I guess, right? That's their answer. But that's dripped in uncertain tonality, right? And so at that point, we need to handle that response in a very different way because they're not certain on the process. So we need to make sure that we get that certainty buy-in, okay? And we'll go into that in this later script down here. Okay, so first of all, though, what do you say if you get this first answer, right? Assuming the response is, yeah, 100%, it's just X. Well, what you would say here is, gotcha. So aside from X, there's nothing else stopping you from being 100% certain that this is exactly what you need to insert desired outcome, right? There's nothing else stopping you from being 100% certain that this is exactly what you need to hit 100K a month, right? And then if they say no, well, now, as I say, you now can handle, as the rep, you can now handle that specific problem / their real objection, which is this issue right here, okay? Colt Gordon refers to this as a double tie down, right? So this is really powerful because, as I say, every time, no matter what it is whatever the first objection is that they give you, right? Every single time, you, using this language pattern right here, if they give you this answer, you'll use this language pattern, you're gonna get the real objection. And now you can handle the real thing that's actually holding them back. And not some smoke screen, like, whatever, okay? So for example, if it's finances / price of offer, right? You can now whip out a payment plan now that you know they are 100% bought into the method, that they know that you are the best person to go to use that specific method to ultimately realize their desired transformation and outcome, okay? Here, what you want to do is you basically want to think about the domino belief. So I've mentioned this before on the channel, but you want to think about this idea right here, right? If I can make people believe that funnels are the key to online business success and are only obtainable through ClickFunnels, then all other objections and concerns become irrelevant and they have to give me money. Here, funnels is the method, online business success is the outcome, and ClickFunnels is the product, okay? And so you have to ensure the above quote holds true for your product, okay? I think this should be actually prospect, not product, for your prospect, okay? You have to make sure that your prospect believes this quote. For your specific offer, obviously, you're not going to use funnels, right? If you're a health coach, okay? But for this specific offer, for this specific quote, you have to make sure that your prospect believes this for your offer. And if so, you can then focus on making it work logistically. But the biggest issue that I see people make is this right here. There is no point trying to make it work logistically if the above quote isn't true. So for example, offering a payment plan to a prospect who doesn't think that your product is the best way to realize the desired outcome is going to do nothing. So one big mistake that I see a lot of salespeople make is their prospects, like who they've got on the phone, they just don't believe that your method, which is this right here, your method is actually the best way to get to their desired outcome, right? And they definitely don't think that your product is the best way to get the method. But ultimately it doesn't matter because they don't think that the method is actually the thing anyway. For example, if you're offering Facebook ads and somebody just fundamentally doesn't believe that Facebook ads is the best way for them to scale their business, then it doesn't matter if you offer that person a payment plan on your product which sells Facebook ads, like, or you do some sort of, you're trying to make it work logistically, maybe you chop your price in half or whatever, like, it doesn't matter because they fundamentally don't think that Facebook ads, for example, in this case, is the best thing for them to hit their goal. And so what you need to do, if they don't think that Facebook ads is the best thing for them to hit their goal, then you need to further sell them on the fact that Facebook ads is the best thing to get them to hit their goal. And once they understand, okay, yeah, now I get it. Like I can see now that yes, Facebook is what I need. Then you can start to focus on making it work logistically. But before that, there's no point trying to make it work logistically because they just don't think that what you have is gonna actually get them to their goal. They're just uncertain. They just don't think it's gonna work. So it doesn't matter what payment plan you give them. If you give them a 4-pay or a 5-pay, they're never gonna buy, right? So that is what you do here is if you, assuming that the response is like this, right? And they say yes 100% with conviction, like they're certain, yeah, 100% this is what I need, right? Now, what do you do if you ask this here, okay, and they go, yeah, I mean, I guess, right? It's just dripped on uncertainty, right? So what do you do then? Well, you don't do this because they're uncertain, okay? So you need to find what they're uncertain about and then You need to handle that. So again, with the Facebook example, you need to make sure that you are able to identify that they're uncertain with Facebook specifically, and then you can handle that real objection, right? This is what the goal is of all of this. We're trying to find the real thing that's holding them back. And then we can handle that, and then we can close the sale. So again, assuming the response now is not, yeah, 100%, it's this second one, which is, yeah, I mean, I guess, right? In an uncertain tonality, here's what you do. You get, okay, cool. So, and by the way, this is what I've got from Call Gordon. It's such a good way of, I could never figure out how to specifically put my finger on the specific objection that that's actually holding them back, right? I could never figure it out, but there's this idea of this 1 to 10 scale, and it's so powerful. It works every time, okay? So you go, okay, so I'm curious, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being X and 10 being Y, right? So 1 being, I want to get off the phone with this dude, and 10 being, this is exactly what I need, right? Where do you feel like you land exactly in terms of scale clients to IO, getting you to 100K a month, right? Insert desired outcome there, okay? Right here. Now, again, the prospect's going to give you one of two answers. They're going to give you a number that's higher than 8, and they're going to give you a number that's lower than 8, obviously, right? So if they give you a number that's higher than 8, I would say something like, gotcha, man. So you're 90% certain that scale clients IO is going to get you, and obviously this you'd use the number. So if they give you a 10, which they won't, because, the reason we're doing all of this is because they gave you an uncertain answer up here. They're like, yeah, I mean, I guess. If they give you that answer, when you ask this, they're not going to be like, oh, dude, a 10. They're just not, right? So usually it's going to be an 8 or a 9 if it is a number that's above 8, okay? So if they go 9, then here you'll go, gotcha, man. So, you're 90% certain that Scale Clients IO is going to get you to 100K a month in the next 6 months. So can I ask you an honest question? Yeah. What's stopping you from moving forward? Bang. Boom. That's going to give you the real objection, right? You're just directly asking them in a way that's not like, well, what is it specifically that's holding you back? You're asking in a very natural way. And this is also a really good line right here. Can I ask you an honest question? Because it kind of like, this is pretty direct. You know what I mean? Like, what's stopping you from moving forward, right? And obviously you wouldn't ask it in that way with that tonality, but it's pretty direct. So you kind of break that with, so can I ask you an honest question, right? What's stopping you from moving forward? I mean, you're 90% certain that Scale Clients IO is going to get you to 100K a month in the next 6 months, just based on your answer, right? So can I ask you an honest question? I mean, what's stopping you from moving forward? I'm curious. And then they'd be like, oh man, it's just, I've been in programs before, man. And it's just, I've never gotten the result that I want to get. So now, if that's their answer, they up here, typically with an objection of that nature, up here, the first objection that they'll actually give you, the smoke screen they'll give you after the price drop, of something of that nature would typically be, I need to think about it. And then after you go through this entire language pattern, now what they've just said to you is, look, man, I've just been burnt so bad in the past from other programs. I'm just nervous that this is going to be the same, right? And honestly, if they say that, like, you've not done the sales call that well, because the whole sales call should show that you're different from everyone else, and that the reason why they've not been able to get the result in the past is because of these reasonings, and here's why we're different. Like, that should be the sole focus of the entire sales call. So if they give you that at the end of the sales call, I would really revise that. I would do a call review on that call and make sure like you were able to see where in the sales call earlier on, the rep actually wasn't able to really build a strong case around why this is different. But at least now though, even outside of that, if they do give you this objection, well, now the real thing that's holding them back. And that's the key. We're trying to find the real thing that's holding them back. And so as I say, the real objection finds a service, and now you can handle the real thing. Okay. Now, what do you do if they give you a number that's below 8? Well, this is actually super easy, okay? If they give you, you ask this question here, and they go, yeah, I'm probably like a 5 or a 6 right now, okay? Well, now you just say this, super easy. Understood. And what specifically is stopping you from being an 8+? That's it, right? Real objection arises. Oh, I just think this is the same as like this other program that I bought that was, I just didn't get the result. Real objection. That's the thing that's holding them back. If you fix that, and you then, in that case, if they give you that objection, if you then go ahead and you have a language pattern, and I'm not going to get into that in this training, but if you then have a language pattern, and then that gets them to a point of like, oh yeah, okay, I can see how this is different. This is exactly what I need. There's nothing else stopping them from them moving forward. Now you've handled the real objection, the real thing that was holding them back, and now you can go back to the close and close them, because you've handled the real thing, not an I need to think about it. Right? Very powerful. Now, Oh, well, as I say, now you can handle the real thing, okay? Uncertainty in the transformation being realized for the prospect. That's usually the main one for uncertainty, right? It's like they just don't really believe that what you're promising is actually gonna get them to the outcome that you're promising, right? Like your deliverables, the thing that you're actually going to do for them, your method, right? If we're looking at this, they just don't believe that either, number one, your method is actually going to get them to their desired outcome, online business success in this example, or your product isn't the best way to get to method, which ultimately isn't, again, not going to get them to their desired outcome, right? So that's uncertainty. And then finances, typically this is in the form of payment plans. So, if finances is the issue, you can then come out and offer a payment plan. This is another big issue that I see a lot of people make, or a mistake that a lot of people make, is they'll, right after the price drop, they'll price drop, and then the prospect will go, do you have any payment plans? And then the rep will go, yeah, we do. We can do a 2-pay, we can do a 3-pay, we can do a 4-pay, we can do a 5-pay. Right? Or the prospect will go, can you do it any cheaper? And then the rep will go, yeah, we can knock $1,000 off. You don't want to do that because now you're just showing all of your cards on the front end. Like it's like showing all your cards. You're showing your full hand in poker. Like, why would you do that, right? You need to keep some stuff in your back pocket. And now if you go through this entire process and you don't say that you do payment plans, and you get to the very end here, and then they go, yeah, man, it's just, it's quite a lot for me right now. Like, a 10K paying full is quite a lot. Now you can then go out, okay, cool, man. Well, what would you say if I can actually do a 4-pay, right? And again, you wouldn't use that language pattern. That's a whole nother training. But now you can pull that out your back pocket and you've got leverage, right? So you can offer payment plans, right? Or if it's partner and spouse, you can, one of the things you can do here is help them convince the other party, or you can set a follow-up call with the other person on board. One of the earlier questions in the info gathering phase should be, do you have a business partner or are you the sole decision maker? If they say I've got a business partner, there's no point continuing with the call, because if the business partner has a 50, if they've got a 50-50 relationship where they, it's decision is based on both of them, well, you're never going to get the sale. So there's no point trying to continue the sales call at that point and try and get the sale at the end, because you're not going to get it. So you need to end the call there and book in a follow-up, right? But if it gets to the end and for whatever reason you're here, you need to help them convince the other party, okay? So hopefully this was useful. There's a lot of obviously intricate bits to this that come off of it. So what if they do this? What if they do that? But this is the general framework that you want to be implementing for objections. And ultimately, as I say, it doesn't matter what objection they give you here, you're going to be able to handle it using this script and word-for-word framework, and you're going to be able to get the sale most of the time, okay? So hopefully this was useful. If it was, please go ahead, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next training.